good, thank you, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm a little bit tired because Ryan's pumped out several videos today. We did discuss earlier a little touch on the Bournemouth game. Yeah, so no disrespect to you, but I imagine people might be Everton contented out. But cup game, are you excited?
I actually am. Considering the past two games against Bournemouth, I'm up for it. It's a chance to go further in it. I don't want us to go out with a whimper. Essentially, Goodison's last ever FA Cup game, so hopefully we can win this one. Everyone getting behind the team, so I'm buzzing for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what David Moyes said. For anyone joining us, thank you. This is the match preview for the cup game, as discussed or hinted at. Tomorrow, 3:00 kickoff, Goodison. As it stands at the moment, the last cup game at Goodison Park, barring success and favourable draws. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Ryan will kill me if he drummed it into my head earlier. I don't tell you to like, subscribe, hit the button, do the things, tell everyone, talk about it in your sleep. And we do appreciate it. We'll get as many comments as we can in part of the discussion. Sean, evening. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, so you're excited. Is that because of the occasion, or is that because of our history against Bournemouth, or is it because it's a cup game? Or is it the opportunity to get a scalp because Bournemouth are playing quite well, and it's a cup game?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's past previous cup games against Bournemouth. Obviously that the horrific 2-gamer under Frank Lampard.
How many goals was that?
Oh, it was like 8.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm wrong, but in my head it's about 18 over 2 games.
It was like a 6-year-old playing against an adult on FIFA or something. Yeah, you look back and go,
and then coming back for more. Yeah. No, do you know what? It's just the vibe around the club is good at the moment. Everyone's buzzing. Obviously, me and you were together at the match last week. We can attest to the environment. It was brilliant. It really was like a party atmosphere. So the magic of the FA Cup, all of it. I'm just up for it. Hopefully, we can create a really good story tomorrow and going forward as well.
I know it was yes, it was almost like being in a nightclub. It was like Goodison Records, the easy dub of All Together Now. Yeah, just but I think that euphoria for me, that feeling, that sensation, especially a goal after 10 seconds, was just transformative. Merely in comparison to how we've performed lately. I mean, I don't know. Have you seen the press conference? Because we'll go through it for people who haven't, or maybe don't have what used to be half an hour set aside to scroll through the YouTube. Have you seen it, or have you been?
I haven't seen it. I've got a breakdown of everything that was mentioned on it. But I've had to. As you can see, I'm house sitting. I don't keep massive pictures of myself as a baby on the wall. There's a cuter version of Corey up there. So I'm cat sitting at the moment. So I've had to rush back and not had a chance to watch anything. But I have gone through a breakdown. I have kept my eyes on team news for Bournemouth.
Sorry, you've. I think we are following Everton the last few years, Corey. We've all gone through a breakdown.
Yeah, 2 good points. So no, a breakdown of the of the presser.
Yeah, I mean it's been transformative. For instance, one of the questions in the press conference today was, there's now a 9-point gap. Now, obviously, this is a cup game and it's not a league, but that transformation, we've got to keep that run going. If we can do that in the cup, it's great. But as Moyes said, it's a long way off being the team that he wants in the future. But then you have to ask yourself, he's praised the players quite a lot, and that transformation that we've seen. That determination or the ability to then close games down and score them, whereas previously we'd gone a few goals up, that can stand us in good stead in a game like the Cup, where, I mean, okay, certain games we've lost where we should have won, and certain games that, the objective pundit would say we've won that we should have lost. So do you think that adds to that sort of excitement, the underdog element that is always in the Cup?
Yeah, it does a bit. Obviously, we know how good Bournemouth are doing. Probably one of the most formed teams in the league, aren't they? Especially over the past 8 or 9 games. Even when they lost to Liverpool on the weekend, they played well. Everything that I've seen about it, what everyone
penalty? Was this the penalty?
Yeah. So I think from what I watched, the limited bits that I watched, and from what I heard, they played really well. So the team's still in really good form. but it's a chance for us to show a scalp. Look, we've beat Spurs, we've beat Leicester, we've beat Brighton. Spurs and Brighton are somewhat in free fall, or their form have specifically dropped off a cliff. Leicester, a poor team, so it's a chance for us to test ourselves against someone who's in better form, against a better team. And I think it's another opportunity because obviously, let's not rest on our laurels. We're not safe yet, but that big gap that there is now between us and Leicester, and the rest of the teams that are struggling for survival, means that
But I think
maybe we can focus a little bit more on the cup. Let's go for it. Not that we've got a big squad to rotate anyway, but let's actually go for it. Bournemouth are going to try and get in Europe via the league, so they might be focusing a bit more on that. So I'm excited for what we can do and the fact that we should actually go for it.
Yeah, but I mean, as was touched on in the press, I do think it is. You know, he doesn't want to. It doesn't want to seem like it's not an opportunity to progress, get revenue, get exposure, have more games at Goodison, you know, positivity, contribute to fitness, match experience, you know, or potentially win the cup. But I think we have to be, you know, reasonable and agree with Moyes when he says that the league and league continuing in the Premier League is the priority. But I mean, for me, if you don't mind me touching on it, you mentioned like Bournemouth on a good run and stuff. And when you compare the team, right, just out of curiosity, can you see that I've got a team sheet here?
I can, yes.
Fantastic. It's very small writing. I don't have the ability to scan it in for everyone right now, but you know, you can, I should have got the screen sharing up, but basically it was just comparing the change in the two teams. That obviously Bournemouth might be a bit unpredictable because, you know, they're a strong team. They could see it as a chance to beat us in the cup. Obviously it's a chance for anyone to beat anyone, but they might be focusing more on their league positions and solidifying Europe, or, you know, continuing to stay where they are. Now, it's interesting for me to then look at the change in that team. Obviously, Bournemouth are up there, and there's a lot of different factors. You know, you could say that Moyes has been praising the players quite rightly for their turnaround and their performance, the dedication, because it's shown an ability that, you know, either they hadn't demonstrated or people thought and assumed incorrectly they weren't capable of. But so, you know, would you like to guess how many of the same players we've got in our starting, you'd expect to say our starting lineup for the game against Bournemouth that we had at the last game of the season 18 months ago?
I would say, only because Harrison's come out recently, 8.
6, not close, but Onana left under acrimony. Okay, Pickford, Tarkowski, McNeil, I'd say if he's got an injury, but he's still, you know, the preferable player that we play. Amadou Onana went under maybe strange circumstances and bettered a league opponent, potentially, you might say. Damari Gray, never quite, you know, he had a few games, one goal in every 3 or 4 games that was, yeah. Yerry Mina, you know, essentially was too old for the level and injuries and stuff like that. Abdoulaye Doucouré we've still got. Iwobi went on and bettered at Fulham, and Williams there as well. You know what I mean? Idrissa Gana Gay we've still got him, but he's what, 37 or yeah. Connor Cody.
Bloody hell, yeah.
And James Garner.
Now,
yes. Now, when you look at the bench as well, this is to me quite alarming. Azimir Begovic, Andy Lonergan, again, 2 goalkeepers back then. Holgate, well, we know what's happened to him. Keane, again, centre-back. Mope, McAllister, Sims, and Welsh. I mean, we didn't even have the full number of subs on the bench that we were eligible to.
And 3 of them are young lads who clearly weren't well, Sims, the only one who was anywhere near playing for a top division side, even a championship side. Obviously, Welsh and McAllister, League 2, League 1 level. So, yeah.
Whereas, I'm just out of curiosity here. I'm just trying to figure out. It's very difficult to figure out how many of the Bournemouth team.
I would say maybe 2 or 3. David Brooks, Lewis Cook, Ryan Christie. The 3 I could come up with.
You know, you're right there. Brooks, Christie, Ouattara. But that's about it.
Yeah.
And they are rather decent players, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, that Kirkesh is going right to the top. He is a really good left back.
Lewis Cook was on the bench and now he's
Yeah.
starting.
I think the fact he got Justin Clivett as well, he had kind of had a struggle when he first come in, but he's a very, very good, he's a brilliant number 10.
They
So
didn't
yeah,
have
and
him
then
then.
obviously
Yeah.
they bought well. They bought well at the back. Kept it on loan from Chelsea. Huijsen, the centre back. They've bought well, and they're all young.
Sorry. It would be terrible if ever I was playing with him, and a ball was coming in. I'd always shout, Doc. I just couldn't help it.
Huijsen, Doc.
Yeah, yeah, it's terrible. So that was just that. I was looking at this program here, and it's it was from the last game of the season with Decore's 1-0 goal. Sometimes it's interesting to look through the old programs. But back to the match preview. Yeah, Decore, 57th minute, I think it was. Now, I'd like to think that we're going to see a bit more of a repeat performance that we did against Leicester. But, I mean, what would you say? Why would you say Bournemouth didn't win their game against Liverpool?
Liverpool just a bit clinical, a bit more clinical. Obviously, they got the penalty. Bournemouth missed a sitter. When the ball hit the post and it come across, that's one you should put away. And that's all it is. Liverpool probably a bit more clinical. Obviously, they're in like a rich vein of form at the moment. So I just think it was that Liverpool a bit more clinical. They're steamrolling most teams, aren't they? So as much as we don't like to say it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it wouldn't be inconceivable that Forest or Arsenal could win the league, but yeah. Anyway, it's about Bournemouth. I mean, yeah, Iraola's been a good manager. He's clearly brought some sort of ethos or spirit or camaraderie into the club because he's really ignited players to they play some good football. Like, and don't get me wrong, I've been to Bournemouth's ground and I've seen a game there, and admittedly it was a decade ago, right? But I don't want to be disparaging because, I mean, quite comparatively, people could say we're not a good team, but they were not a good team. And that sometimes, up until recently, they've been very fragmented. They can come onto a run of form and then just fall apart and like a bit do a Wolves, not to drag anyone else into the mud, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, they could play good football at times. They showing promise, but they were quite weak. I mean, just before that, they went down, didn't they, and come back up. So they were, I wouldn't even say a yo-yo club. They were a club struggling. Obviously, Gary O'Neill done really well with them. He kept them up after, obviously, before they were going to go back down on the Parker. And then they got rid of him, brought in the Iraola, and everyone was confused because O'Neill looked like he'd done a good job. And he's after a rough start, including obviously the 3-1 win that we had against them. And now everything started to click. It's working really well. They play good football when they most of the time, and when they need to, they can grind out results as well. So it's everything you want from probably a modern team, especially a team that's not going to be able to just spend all the money to do ticket tackle all the time. So
I mean,
he's a really good manager, Raiola.
I mean, to be fair, putting scoring 5 against Forest above around the same place as them, 4 against Newcastle, 5 against West Brom in the FA Cup before they got to us. Yeah. I mean, the most frustrating
a lot of injuries as well.
Yeah, I mean, the most frustrating thing was that game last month. Was yeah. Anyway,
that was a routine victory for them, weren't it? And I think we kind of just made it routine again by just not showing any kind of ambition. But hopefully that this is a change now. We show a bit of ambition, we go for them, and like I said, anything can happen. Yeah, we do need to be aware of relegation and getting as far away from that as possible. But I really do think it's a chance to have a mentality in the team to say, let's go for it. You can finish just above relegation zone and get in Europe by winning.
Yeah, and quite rightly, I mean, not that it necessarily worked out well in the long term, but Wigan, Martinez winning the cup and then getting relegated. But that improvement. I'm not going to say that Moyes is going to do the same as Iraola at Bournemouth, but he's got a tune out of these players. Like you can't You work with cars, Corey. If a car's not capable of going 100 miles an hour, you can't get it to 100 miles an hour, like regardless. So if it's demonstrating that we're able to do that and score 4, then obviously the quality and the caliber of the opposition comes into it. But we're seeing improved possession. Was it Julia Bould was asked asked Moyes, sorry, about the is it less important in a cup game, or is it even important at all to have possession? And you see different types of styles of football now where games are won with less possession. Obviously, if you don't have the ball, you can't score. But do you think that we're going to see that sort of continued full cohesive team press, or do you think we might see a different style of tactics from Moyes? Because when he started to really get into a stride at Everton, we had our style of play that even if you might know what it was and how to defend against it, it was difficult. It was scrappy. It was, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're not. I mean, it's clear we're not going to have as much of the ball and be as attacking as we were against like the Leicester and that. I think we'll probably see something akin to what we've seen against Brighton. Yeah. So the under-21s are playing tonight, literally fairly shortly. I'm not going to tell you what time because we don't want you to go there. We want you to stay and watch us for now. I'll tell you at the end.
Wait, this isn't the no. The test event's 10 days time. Sorry,
Yeah, this is just under-21s game against Brighton under-21s. But Dixon isn't on the under-21s team for the game tonight. Neither's Omar Sharif. And I don't think Onyango is. But I don't know
Omar
if
Sharif.
Yeah. Not Omar Sharif, Martin Sharif. Sorry, lads. Where that's come from. Martin Sheriff. So then they're not playing for the under-21s tonight. Braden Graham's been called up from the under-18. So I can see Dixon and Sheriff being in the squad tomorrow. Whether they get a game, I'm not too sure, but they'll be in the squad.
Maybe just to at least maybe to give them some experience, or to fill out the subs bench.
Yeah. So that'll be essentially it. It'd be nice if we are winning and they can come on and get some experience, but I don't know if we'll see that happening. Patterson's not going to play, so there's more chance again of Roman Dixon getting on. Moyes ruled him out as injured, didn't he, for the game?
Yeah, I mean, and also, I mean, again, hinting peripherally, I think it all just depends a little bit on so many little things that we don't know. Because when you've got so many players that are covering and in different positions, it could be a case that a slight niggle might come, that might get prioritized differently. Yeah, I'm glad someone else is reassured. Thanks.
Oh, come on, boys! Easily done. I've had a long day back at work today.
We've all had a long day. I had an hour of Ryan telling me about parking regulations outside Bramley Moor. Sorry. I mean, yeah. So we're going to see some youngsters potentially, but then again, isn't that always the case week in week out? Moyes was asked, would we like to, the transfer window could have done better, and obviously, he literally just reiterated the point that we've been hampered by pricing and availability. Yes, we have. I'm really, really sorry about this, but if I don't talk like this, I'm sorry. Yes, my dog is also annoyed at our lack of signings. Yes. 1 second. I know. I'm very sorry about this. Come on.
For anyone wondering what the dog was saying, he was just singing "Spirit of the Blues." If anyone could understand that. So weigh me spoons as well, mate. I do think there's a chance, but I can't see him starting. I think he'll stick with the team that essentially played last weekend. I think Garner will come in for his fitness. Eric Boonen might get a start instead of Idrissa Gana Gueye. But in terms of the main team, I'd say it's probably going to be the same. O'Brien will probably stay right back. I can't see too many changes.
Because Moyes mentioned about that, he was asked about Jake O'Brien's sort of general pathway and progress, or it was commented on in a roundabout way. And we have seen it, and players do chop and change. And he referenced, I mean, this was lovely to me. And certainly with Harrison Armstrong, sorry to go back on this, but it might see some of the ideas of what he's got. Moyes is trying to implement not just necessarily obviously balancing the need for success and wins and points and goals and development, but he's on about developing the players, because he mentioned that sometimes you develop players that don't fit into your system or don't. I mean, he's roundabout way saying that they might not be good enough, but they're still professional athletes and footballers at other clubs that then they go to and have careers. Now, he talked about Jake O'Brien starting as a right back, which isn't often a route for centre backs that don't necessarily have the physicality or the experience, or the nous, or do have the physicality then to step into the right back role and learn the game watching how the centre backs do it. And it was obviously a route he had as well. He mentioned, because he was a centre back. So I think there we're going to see, him feature, and long term it goes into this idea of Harrison Armstrong. He was asked, and I think we mentioned it previously, that he signed a long-term contract and gone out on loan. And I do believe, I think that's where he was talking about. He's gone to Derby, and people say, "Oh, the killer club" or whatever. But one of the greatest, I don't know, technically one club players, technically, because he went out on loan to Derby and Carlisle.
That's correct, yeah.
I'm going to say one of my favourite players of all time. A lovely guy, absolutely hilarious. Loved the club, loves the ethos, did everything, would play. I mean, I'm sure I've seen him play at left back, right back, striker, centre, left wing, right wing. You know who he is. One of the greatest modern day servants to put on that shirt.
Yeah, Leon Osman. Yeah. Fun fact, I walked into his car once when drunk. He was coming out of his driveway.
I once bumped into him in a small place on the Wirral when he was picking up his very beautiful partner from some sort of appointment and thing. And he's just a really, really lovely guy. Really lovely guy.
Yeah, he apologised to me, and it was me who walked into his car, not looking. So, thanks, Leon. Thanks, Aussie lad.
Hey, where there's blame, there's a.
That's probably what he thought, as well.
Yeah. But I mean, so he might not end up in the first team long term with Harrison Armstrong, but he does have a future. So clearly, at least from a financial point of view, if he's going out and learning that, and he becomes if he's not the demand from the first team who's going to watch him, but he goes out on loan, and then you generate demand for him. That's a great on the books PSR type thing. So.
The Championship at 18 years old is a brilliant level to go to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially for consistent football. I did mention when we did the transfer show, when it was me, you and Chris, that I was a bit concerned with him going to Derby just because of the way that they play and the way they struggle, that I don't know if he'll get trusted to play. But
doesn't that give you a kind of freedom? Yeah, this is Mr. Blue Skies has just said, by the way. Oh, thanks, Sean, for finding it really. Let's not forget Bournemouth smashed 5-0, Forest 5-0 not long ago. We do have to be careful with the tactics, which is why, to be fair, Moyes did praise Dyche for setting up Everton defensively. And I don't know whether that's just the coach solidarity, but, we still had a relatively good defensive record with how we were playing, and the fact we couldn't score. You'd have to argue that we could, it wouldn't be that surprising to say if we were thoroughly entrenched in the relegation zone.
Yeah, 100%.
So, with that in mind, I don't think we're going to see anything out of the ordinary, really. We're not going to see wild and wacky combinations. Or maybe we are. Maybe I'm talking out my ass. I don't know. We do this and we have no idea what's going to happen. I feel like Roy Kent on Ted Lasso. It's like, we don't know. We don't know.
Have you seen what Mr. Blue Skies has also put there, mate? A bit further down, Derby's manager got sacked today.
Oh, is it Paul Warne?
Yes.
Doesn't that potentially put somebody else in the frame?
Who are we talking?
Somebody who tried their hand at managerial stuff.
Oh, you mean Sean Dyche?
No, out of curiosity, I really don't. I don't know whether we're on the telly tomorrow.
We're not. We're not on English telly. It's a 3:00 kickoff. For anyone who was watching abroad, it is, I believe, ESPN Plus for our American viewers. They usually have all the FA Cup games on, and I believe I'm talking to some international Blues as well.
Is it Ireland or Australia as well? I think something like that.
It might be Australia. I don't think it's Australia. I'm pretty sure it's an Asian country. Like Opta Sport or Premier Sport, it's called. Is also what I heard purely from overseas Blues and for no other reason.
Yes. So there you go, Emma. Wormy, this is it. Now, this is it as well. Moyes is a class act and he compliments Dyche regardless. Look, it boils down to, I suppose, that argument of does it need to be said? Does it need to be said by me? And does it need to be said right now? And what he's opting to do is looking at the big picture. It doesn't matter what he says about Dyche. What matters is what he says and how that affects the players. And what he's doing there is quite rightly, the biggest change, when asked what the biggest change was, he said, it's not me personally, it's the players who've controlled the game, they've been resilient. And, with the whole questions when he was asked last week, I think it was Julia again, or someone was saying, how many chances, who's going to score? Well, we look more lethal. We look more likely to score. So, I mean, look, I don't want to be disparaging, but this to me is a stepping stone. It's an opportunity. It's an added bonus because for me, that with the very real possibility mathematically that we're still in the mix, as Moyes said, the most important thing is Premier League. So I guess what I'd urge everyone going to do is to enjoy the opportunity of what well could be, and at the time is, as it stands, the last cup game, and hopefully that freedom, that mentality, that lack of pressure, that celebrating football for what it is and the event for what it is might allow the players to go out there and win the game.
Yeah, it is. Look, there should be some passion there. I think Moyes will try and play it down, but for me personally, like you said, it's a big opportunity. It's a big opportunity to give Goodison a send off in the FA Cup. I would just like us to, like I said, I'm not expecting us to play free for football. We do need to be careful. But if we just play the same as we did against Brighton, because we didn't allow Brighton much, we still had to defend, but we were dogged. We took our chances. So I just like something like that.
Do you know what? There are different things that people do, I think. Forgive me if I get a little bit arty-farty in area here, but people have a different impact. And some people value people for their vitality, their attention, their humour, anything like that. And people are multitudes. They can have a lot of things. But Iraola is good at inspiring these players. What's his face at who's at Newcastle? I can't remember his name.
Eddie Howe.
Yeah. He's clearly got something about him. Now, I'm not saying Moyes doesn't, but what Moyes does have is it's almost, at least to me, the impression that I get from him is there's an unspoken aura, an expectation to hold oneself to a higher standard. It's the impression that he gives that we can be better. He encourages people to do better. And I think that is, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. He has seemed like he gets players to play for the club. He gets a good sense of unity, but not just that. He inspires players it's inspired in themselves. So not only can he do it for the team, but they have the ability in themselves.
It's interesting. Oh, we could touch on that in a little bit. Sorry, there's so many good comments. Sometimes they come in and I don't star them because they get mentioned, and then sometimes I don't mention it. Yeah, it's terrible. Look, I'm all for... Look, the thing is, David's just said here, he shouts his nuts off at the players underperforming. And whether that's Dyche, and I'm going to say it the wrong way around because it's about Moyes, maybe it's behind closed doors. Look, what goes on behind closed doors is behind closed doors. And someone's personal ability and motivation and desire. And one thing I would never do is criticize somebody's ability, but criticizing somebody's effort. You are free to do that, provided it's in the safety of a supportive environment, much like a relationship. Like you've got a loving relationship, you can joke and be like, oh, you're a fucking dickhead sometimes, that kind of thing. Whereas if it's not loving and trusting and all that sort of stuff, you can't really be calling people those things because they're not feeling secure. Oh my God, this has turned into like But I think it's a professionalism and a respect, and I don't know what other sort of superlatives you can use to describe it, but there's a touch of class about him.
Yeah, I think he's got that old school grit, that old school class, like you've said there. But whereas Dyche was just very much old school and reject anything new, Moyes is old school. Yeah, very much not so much stoic, but very much about the club, very much about hard work, professionalism, things like that. But he has got that, especially over the years now, as he has matured. He does seem to have got that bit more of a humanist side to him. You know
Yeah,
what I
I mean,
mean?
yeah, absolutely. And I think obviously maybe some of it was the personal journey of humility and of, the step from Everton to Manchester United and it turning out the way it did, etc., etc. You don't know, and it's not my place to speculate. He did us. I don't want to. It's not fair to reflect on a person based on the nature of their departure, is it? Because people are in love for years. Anyway, stuff changes, but that means that, as Wormy said there, what we've seen is an immediate response in matches where it's reflexive. And it's not just, they have the confidence to try and attempt to have a style or a tactic, but not just that. It's not the rigidity where you fail to respond to the opposition, which Moyes is very quietly and astutely often did. Sometimes we're a very difficult team to play against. That was the reason, and that, to my mind, must be because of a tactical sense. Because I'm sure that he and his team, or he demands people put that level of attention in, just as he did with his. I don't know if you know about this, but the Moneyball, the metrics idea of player acquisitions in positions. That I don't know if he still did, but he used to have all these notes and things on performances and things that. Yeah. So I think that the guy is clearly very analytical, and Peter's touched on it as well. I love it. I love seeing this back and forth in the comments. But what do you think on that?
Yeah, he's correct. The players that we brought, he's not changed the way we play massively in terms of a complete shift in ideology, a bit more attacking. But like Peter says there, it is very much just playing to the strength. That's what I guess wartime managers do. If you're not playing with an ideological manager, and but it's working, and that's what you need, especially at the current moments. You know what I mean, to get us through. And he's a fantastic man manager. He plays to the players' strengths, and he gives them the belief to amplify them strengths as well. So he's very much correct.
Yeah. Sorry, anytime anyone says anything wartime, I'm just reminded of the fact that both times that the English Football League was cancelled or put on hiatus due to the world wars, both times Everton were the champions and had very high performing good teams that then didn't perform as well when the Football League resumed. So you could argue that the tenure that we've had puts us up there with the longest champions in history. It just wouldn't have won the separate trophies. So with that in mind, against Bournemouth, do you think is it possible to predict a lineup? Everyone in the comments, what do you think? Do you think we're going to see a similar Bournemouth lineup with a few maybe subs for resting key players, or are they just going to go all out, or what? Because I think it's difficult. I think knowing that we are threadbare, that they might see it as an opportunity to rest players, which we could then capitalise on. But then they might be mindful of that, and it becomes this whole mind game, tactics upon tactics.
Oh, I think both teams are going to go fairly strong. Like I said, we've not got a big squad anyway, and we're going to go for it. Bournemouth, they didn't really buy many new players in the transfer window, so what they bought was young players. So they're going to go for what's left on their squad. It's a bit more threadbare. I can see the likes of Sinisterra coming in, maybe David Brooks coming out, or Semenyo coming out, or something like that. But we'll see two fairly strong sides for what they've got available. And it'd be nice to see, obviously, Alcaraz get a game, whether he starts or not.
Rather frustratingly, there's another incidence of a player that we might have been linked with. I don't know whether it was just rumours, but that's Silcott Dewberry at Chelsea because of the Broja situation. And obviously they've got hit,
Yeah. It's again, it's just a hand that you're being dealt with, isn't it, at the moment? So
sorry, I completely forgot. Mate, this is what Everton's gaslighting does to me on the last day of the entire transfer window. It makes me forget, right? Forget that there was a transfer window. Forget that we made a signing, so that I'm so deluded that when he starts tomorrow, I'm like, oh, yay! We bought like not disparaging against the lad, obviously, but wow. So yeah, Alcaraz. Yeah, do you think we're going to see him start?
Do you know what? I do. I'm not completely. I'm not 100% certain on it, but I do think we'll see him start. Maybe the Corey get pushed back, maybe something like that. But I see him starting.
I mean, yes, because technically the hints that Moyes gave us, he said, when he was asked about Carlos Alcaraz, he said, how ready? I think he's ready, match fit, just need to get him used to the squad. And he's used to Premier League and the speed of the game in the Premier League. So maybe that means he's used to the Premier League speed, so therefore we'll put him in the cup. I don't know. I don't know.
He doesn't need to get Premier League ready or Dyche fit.
Wait, hang on. He's not been slapped yet. So. He needs to get slapped and then wait a few months before he can get 15 minutes.
Or an extra year.
Anyway, right. Are you actually going for a prediction, or is it a hopeful thing? Because one might say, the bookies might say that Bournemouth are favourites to turn us over 3-0, but you never know.
I'll go with 2-1 to Everton.
Okay, 2-1. What about everyone in the comments? Thank you for watching us. Once again, while you're thinking about your predictions, get in a prediction and whether you think we're going to see something out of the ordinary, like Dixon starting, or yada yada, just anything. If you've got any thoughts that you really think or proposals, get them in. And while you're doing that, while you're thinking and typing out your comments, I will remind everybody else. Sorry for interrupting your comment. If you are a new viewer, to hit the like and subscribe button and the little notification thing, because it helps Ryan with the metrics and the SEO and all this kind of stuff. And it essentially, I don't know, he might buy me a new mic. Yes, I think Lindstrom is due. Hang on, wait, did he score last week, or did he miss and he came off and he was just I can't remember. Did he score?
It was the one where he hit it at the keeper later on and he come off just afterwards.
Just after, yeah.
I think he's confused because I was adamant that the ball hit the back of the net.
Yeah.
Have you seen Peter Duggan's comment there? He can be a loose cannon, apparently. But I think we've missed that. I think we've a bit like Richie was, someone who's a bit moody, someone who is going to have a bit of bite about him and kind of cause some issues. I think we're missing something like that. Obviously, Njai had that cheekiness against Brighton the other week when he done the celebration, but to have someone who's actually maybe a little bit nasty and a little bit of bite about him, I think we need that. That'll be the kind of thing that can win you the game or drag you through.
Are you interested? You mean like about 2 or so years ago? He scored the winning goal in the 2022, 3 years ago, Argentine Cup final against Boca Juniors in extra time, sparking a large melee and being one of 10 red cards.
Yeah.
10?
That's, again, maybe we want red cards, but that's the kind of thing that we do want. We want that little bit of feistiness. We want that bit of desire, a bit of fire.
I mean, I'd rather not. I'd rather not get red cards that see us get suspensions, or anything like that. Please. Yeah. So he's had 1 red card in 14 matches in Serie A. Oh, thank you. That'll do. Okay, it's all right. I was just hoping it wasn't going to be like 4 red cards. Yeah. So, Mr. Blue Skies has gone Everton 2-1, Lindstrom and Beto, and I do think Lindstrom is due a goal. And Beto, you know what? I really want to see him come good and fill the gap that the DCL's left.
Keep that good form going.
Yeah, so he stays. Peter's gone for 3-1. Beto, Alcaraz, and Sheriff.
And Omar Sheriff.
Okay.
Although, is Evan Nielsen still playing? Yeah, I think he's injured. He broke his foot round about Christmas time. So I believe Evan Nielsen is injured. I think he's out for most of the season. He might come back for the last couple of games, but that's why Uwatara started up top.
Out till April.
Fractured April, yeah, so yeah, back the last couple of games, yeah. So Uwatara will probably start up top. They'll probably have Clivert, Brooks. I wouldn't be, like I said, Sinisterra, I believe, is possibly going to come back in time for this game now. So you could see him getting his first game for a while. Get his first start.
No. You mean Sinistera that we wanted? Don't.
He wanted from Leeds, and we couldn't afford him, so he went to Bournemouth.
Yeah, but you know what? We know what that means.
Mr. Blue Skies is correct as well. Unai, the other striker, is injured also as well. Yeah.
Well, Peter's he's still going 3-1. Okay.
I appreciate it, Peter. I like it. All that matters is the 3 goals that we scored anyway, so.
Yeah, I'm going to go. Okay, O'Brien, header from a corner. All right then. Okay. I think we might see a game where we try to capitalise a little bit on set pieces like that and use a sense of physicality. Maybe not in the Dyche way. Maybe we'll actually do something with them. But yeah, it's difficult to say. I mean, if we make sure to not allow them to cut through us on the counter and that we're sharp, then yeah, it will be a good game. But I mean, personally, I maybe have done a bit of a cop out here, but I can't predict it because it all depends on who we're going to start and what we're going to see.
Right, okay. Come on, Yann, you've got to give us
2-0.
a
2-0. 2-0.
2-0 to the Blues?
Yes.
There we go, mate. That's good. Look, everyone's positive. It's really good to hear that everyone is positive going into this. Obviously, there was a previous time where we'd have just been like, you know what, there's no chance we get through. Maybe we get a draw. But look, we've even got Peter here. Let's go for 4. That's it. That's what we want. A bit of positivity.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. Michael Keane. Okay. What's got up is that there's this phenomenal moment. A corner goes in. Michael Keane heads it. Oh no. I know. Michael Keane defends off the line, heads it out, chases the ball down, gets clear through, and then the keeper starts running out and chasing him. So around about the halfway line or something, he goes for an absolutely world-class volley, floats it in, and yeah. just I'm sorry, I've been very serious on this video, and the last one was just ridiculous. My God. Yes.
So,
sorry.
Go on, sorry, mate.
I was just going to comment. The £80 million centre back had an absolute mare against Forest. I can't say I saw the game. I didn't. I meant to watch the highlights and go, how did this happen? But what was the game? The 7-0 game the other day.
That was Forest against Brighton.
Okay, sorry, yeah. Well, I suppose there. Right, so we better wrap it up then.
Yeah. So, I'll tell you what. Have you got any final thoughts, Yann, in terms of the game tomorrow?
No, just 1878 are going to do a thing. Quite rightly, I understand. Let's not get people being arsey. And unfortunately, when you deal with large groups of people, you can't sort of pander to everyone, unfortunately. I just hope that they'd certainly pander to the disabled parking situation. Yeah, but see previous video from today. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Please again remember to like, subscribe. You'll get notifications for when we go live. Me, Chris, and Chad will likely be doing the pre-match tomorrow, maybe even the reaction as well afterwards. So if you want to hear a little bit more about the game, what's gone on, listen to us celebrate making it into the quarterfinals. Please like, subscribe.
Yeah. So, and with that in mind, just to let you know, in case anyone is wondering, yes, that is a genuine 1995 FA Cup Everton flag. So 30 years on, I would really love a genuine reason to wave it as it was intended to be waved. On that note, well, you'll be joining us tomorrow. Is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah, tomorrow. So it'll roughly be round about 2:15, I believe. Round about that time, we'll be doing the preview, and then probably within half an hour of the match finishing, we'll have the post-match reaction as well.
So with that in mind, I will leave you in the very capable hands of Curry and Chips.
And
sorry, I'm just And thank you very much for joining us. Do like, subscribe, hit the notifications, tell everyone, and check the earlier video for why I was absolutely fuming at Liverpool Council and Steve Rotherham. But yeah, thanks, Corey. Thanks, everyone. And what do we say? It's before the watershed.
Toffees. Oh.
Oh, thanks so much, everyone. Have a good night. And
Peace.
Peace. Oh, God, where does he put this videos now? Here we go. Wait, it's not doing. Oh, Christ.